Is inclusion exclusion? Where is the line drawn?
According to the Department for Education and Skills, inclusion is a process by which schools, local education authorities and others develop their cultures, policies and practices to include pupils. However, is this modern educational ideology suitable for all children?
On placement, there was a child that had trouble concentrating and would distract the class constantly due to underlying anger problems. To ensure he was included, the teacher found herself changing the daily routine. This had limited effect on the child and his behaviour didn't change. In trying to include this child, everyone else who had come to feel comfortable with the timetable was excluded. At what point does a child's behaviour become unsupportable in a classroom environment, regardless of whether it arises from an underlying disability?
The Department for Education states that it is statutory to include all children in mainstream school, whilst also ensuring the efficient education of others with whom they would be educated. This shows that whilst the government acknowledge that having SEN children in mainstream education can be detrimental to others, at the same time they don't suggest strategies to overcome this.
With stakeholders pushing for an inclusion-based curriculum, what can the teacher do about this somewhat silent problem?
Peaston observed the impact of inclusion on other members of the school community. Staff reported that they found themselves in situations where they had to prioritise one child's needs against those of the rest of the class. Teachers have to face this every day, and again it poses the question, is this fair on mainstream learners who are constantly being neglected of learning?
One takeaway from the report suggested that inclusion did not have to mean remaining in the classroom. Therefore, the child being removed from the curriculum to complete a social skills session might be their best hope of inclusion, while allowing the rest of the class to continue their learning. This shows that the majority's interests need to be taken into account instead of the pressure to include the one child.
In our future practice, we believe support sessions and one-to-one class support could help solve the problem of excluding the mainstream learners. We understand that there will be factors that will challenge this during our practice, such as funding and curriculum demands. However, we hope to provide equal learning opportunities for all children without excluding the majority.
Whilst we value the importance of inclusion for SEN children, it has been evident that the emphasis on this hasn't created a wholly inclusive environment for all. The CEC suggests that inclusion is a measure specifically for SEN children rather than relating it to its general definition, which would be to create an environment in which all children are equally valued.
Sharman found that one child's behaviour sometimes results in a loss of learning time for the mainstream learner, as teachers' time is being spent resolving behavioural issues. By giving this child extra support during class time and strategies to manage their behaviour, the issue at hand could be reduced.
The teacher will therefore have more time to focus on the whole class rather than focusing on one child's behaviour, thus the percentage of children being excluded may be reduced.
To conclude, we believe that inclusion isn't necessarily causing the exclusion of others, but it can often cause mainstream children to become neglected of learning and be overlooked.
Although this is partially recognised by the government, could more be done to ensure that SEN children receive the inclusive education they need without being disadvantageous to the mainstream child?
Created using Powtoon.